Shall we get onto the pyramid?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Take us away, JP.
So sadly, we have another team joining the graveyard this week with the Cleveland Browns, and I'll go ahead and, since apologizing is something I have to do more often apparently, I would like to apologize for not have already putting them in the graveyard, because last week I said they were going to stay on watch, and I thought they would beat the clearly tanking Jets. And I thought they would be competitive maybe this weekend with Lamar and the Ravens. They could still do that, but they'll do that from the graveyard instead, because how do you lose the tanking Jets? Time to start Shedeur Sanders going forward. But honestly, had you been told at the beginning of the season that it would take 10 weeks for the Cleveland Browns to join kind of like an eliminated group, I would be shocked, to be honest, given their outlook. But here they are, joining the graveyard after Week 10. We are now up to
7, 8, 9
9 teams of the 32, 23 to go. Now we go to the teams left off. There are 4 teams that have left off. The Falcons stay left off. I'm not going to put them in the graveyard because, like I said last week, I love getting to talk about how they lost every single week. So they may stay here forever in purgatory before they're sent to the graveyard. Falcons going to Falcon. Have to say that up front. They led 17-13 after the first drive field goal in the second half. They were given the ball 3 more times with the lead. They had 3 straight punts. Indy, in those 3 drives, among them, had 2 turnovers and a field goal, a fumble and a turnover on downs. Just an utter refusal to put a team that was handing you a win away, and another devastating loss in overtime, and the Falcons are 3-6. Clicks. The Carolina Panthers, I will re-say what I said earlier in that game breakdown. There were 250 comments on our Panthers TikTok of my take of them on this season. There were 87 comments and 280 likes on a Panthers fan page quote tweet of said TikTok. That's roughly 616 engagements. 99% of them were hating. In my roughly 100 degenerate responses and clapbacks at these Panthers fans, there have just been 20 responses after this weekend. This is a direct representation of your fan base and your team. When it is going good, which going good is very relative here, they were kind of scraping by with wins and had an impressive win against the Packers. But when you lose by 31 to the Buffalo Bills and lose to Tyler Flippin' Shuck, crickets, including from your own fan page, who asked, "Are we serious?" We are serious. The Panthers are left off, and I'm going to put them on graveyard watch as well. They play the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. In Carolina. Not in Carolina. In Atlanta. The Bengals stay where they're at. Bye week. No change. Joe Burrow is going to return on Thanksgiving against the Ravens. I don't think it'll change much. But, man, do those losses the last 2 weeks against the New York Jets and the Chicago Bears hurt so damn much. Because if Joe Burrow is returning at Thanksgiving, we had those 2 wins, we would be 5-4 right now. Joe Flacco just has to maybe win one more game. You're 6-6 when Joe Burrow returns. Instead, we're looking at maybe 4-8 when Joe Burrow returns. That's really concerning. And they'll get up to 9-8 and probably miss the playoffs by 1 game. Once again, it's because they choked 2 games to the Jets and the Bears. The Jaguars are moving off of the pyramid, and rightfully so. They led 17-0 against Davis Mills and lost. That's inexcusable. But they also led by 19 entering the 4th quarter against Davis Mills and lost. That is even more inexcusable. They are left off. And now we can move to what is kind of becoming another Christmas tree pyramid.
We're getting close to the holidays, so,
Yes, I can't wait for...
In the festive spirit, we're going to do another Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about this. With the red and the green moving up and down, you got little lights on there.
Yes. Good point.
I love it.
I love it. Steelers are going to stay where they're at on the pyramid. They didn't follow the formula. They gave up 20 points and didn't score 20 plus. For me, this is why you can't overreact to big performances like their performance they had last week against the Indianapolis Colts. You have to see consistency from these kinds of teams week after week before you can then say, oh, now we can move them up. Oh, now we can move them down. That's how power rankings work, and that's why the Steelers will stay where they're at, even though they had the big, impressive victory against the Colts 2 weeks ago. The 49ers are going to stay where they're at. Look, they can't play defense, but how could you with the guys that they've lost? And I would like to make the argument that Brock Purdy, his career is being saved by Mac Jones. Mac Jones is 5-2 as a starter this year. That would make you assume, I think the common person would assume, and I think even in-house as well, that Brock Purdy in those games would be the same 5-2. But I wonder if people actually believe that Brock Purdy would be 5-2 across those 7 games. I think that is very much up for debate. The Dallas Cowboys had a bye week, so there's no movement for them. And the Minnesota Vikings, they're going to stay where they're at. The game should have been much worse. I give credit to their defense for forcing 5 field goal attempts. JJ makes big throws and then questionable throws. Like you have the throw on the 4th and 10 and the 4th and goal to get them down the field. But 2 interceptions in this game. It's expected, though, for a rookie quarterback, which he's technically, I would call it a rookie year for him. It is expected for him. But the Vikings will stay at the bottom of the pyramid or Christmas tree, whatever you want to call it. Tier 5. The Denver Broncos are going to stay where they're at as well. The only good thing about that performance is that it was on Thursday, so everyone kind of forgot about it. The Chicago Bears are going to move up for me. Maybe they were extended a lifeline in this game because Jackson Dart was kind of giving it to them. But when Dart got hurt, you can't not give them credit for responding and pulling this one off, down 10 late in the 4th quarter. Jack, I'm sorry, but that Commanders-Bears game is holding unbelievable magnitude on both teams' seasons again. Last year, the Commanders won it, and they went on their run. The Chicago won one more game the rest of the season, and we may see the save for Jack's Commanders.
I'm fine if we only win one more game this season.
Fair.
I will say I really wish we played again next year because it'd just be fun to continue the experiment, but we won't. So
that's like
Maybe in
completely
the
out of
playoffs.
the picture.
it's not out of the picture, but I don't think it's likely. No, because there's no way.
Unless y'all both finish as like the 3s in your NFC in the NFC. If the Bears
True.
finish behind the
True.
Packers and
They
the
could.
Lions, and you finish behind the Eagles and the Cowboys,
So there's a chance we finish
But,
as 3s.
ahead of the Giants. Yeah.
Okay. No, I take it back. I take it back.
I think that's probably favored at this point, at to be a potential to happen. The Chargers are going to stay where they're at. It's remarkable that the Steelers were even in this game for as long as they were. Of course, the Chargers completely flipped the way they're playing football offensively with the bad offensive line. They're getting the ball out immediately. Herbert had his quickest time to throw all season at 2.33 seconds on Sunday night. That is benefiting Quentin Johnston a ton in fantasy football, so maybe if Quentin Johnston's on waivers, he's not. I do like making that joke, though, because the waiver TikToks in fantasy football this year have been terrible. They have just been constantly guys that everyone already has.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example. Go ahead and pick up. I did see one. Go ahead and pick up George Kittle.
That's
before
crazy.
he got back from injury.
Yeah,
Because-
or Rashee Rice when he's come back from suspension. Go get Rashee Rice
Yeah.
off of the waiver wire.
Or
Also-
try to trade for Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Like the guy who drafted Rashee Rice wasn't going to be okay with not playing him.
Sure. I also saw something. I saw one, and it was like, pick up a Rondé Gadsden, but it was like 3 weeks post the Rondé Gadsden breakout, and it's like, if you're in any sort of respectable league, he got picked up probably 2 weeks ago, if not a week ago, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, bro. And then they do the thing too. It's like, last week I told you to pick up this person.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you were right, but then if you go watch the one from last week, they put out like 10, and they were wrong on 9.
Yeah.
But they're like, you should listen to me because I went 1 for 10. Which, I mean, you gotta get traction somehow. I get it, but still funny.
The Green Bay Packers are going to drop down to tier 5. They've been as high as number 1
Yeah.
at the beginning of our pyramid this season. They are selling a dynamic defense. I still think this is a very high ceiling team with that defense, but the offense has got to figure something out. The Houston Texans have started 0-3. They are now 4-5. They outscored the Jags 26-0 entering the fourth quarter, and they're going to stay where they're at on tier 5 because we get to tier 4 and we've got some really high ceiling teams that we've seen really low floors from, starting with the Indianapolis Colts. Competitive resolve. I talk about it a ton every single week. Daniel Jones did not give up. Jonathan Taylor had his best fantasy performance of the year and had the best fantasy performance of the year by anybody. When the game was eventually put on his shoulders, that being Daniel Jones was 5 for 7 for 57 yards, had 21 rushing yards. The long third down carry, the 4th and 2 to Tyler Warren. You have to give credit. In a clutch moment, he responded when he needed to. You can say it's against the Falcons. You're right to say that, but great teams find a way to win games they shouldn't, and the Colts did that on Sunday morning. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to drop from tier 2 to tier 4. Baker needs his guys back. Every single momentum play went to the Patriots, and you have to give Tampa Bay credit for even being in that game, but we have now seen a potential problem with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and playoff teams. The loss to Philly, the loss to Detroit, the loss to the Patriots. That's 0-3 against teams that are in the playoffs right now. And you have 2 weeks going forward against Buffalo and against Los Angeles, both on the road. Got to split one of the two to kind of get away from that notion, because right now they are not competitive really against these playoff teams. They are competitive. They aren't winning against these playoff teams, and to win playoff games, you have to beat playoff teams. So they're on tier 4 for the power rankings now, and not tier 2 anymore. The Lions, Dan Campbell started calling plays, and he went pretty well. 44 points, 546 total yards. They have now won 10 straight times in the regular season after losing. The problem, again, will be when the postseason comes, they aren't allowed. The way the postseason works, if you lose, you go home. So they don't get a second chance. They have to continue winning games. So I want to see more consistency going forward, because I just only saw 1 week of consistency from them. I'm not going to move them way up the pyramid. The Ravens have moved up to tier 4. The defense is playing much better. The offense, of course, has left meat on the bone against the Vikings, having 5 field goal attempts. This is a really scary team at 4-5, and the way their defense is playing, where they've cut 20 points per game off how many they're giving up in their last 4 games, 80 yards per game. Their passer rating for the opposing quarterback is great. They're kind of turning it around defensively, and this is going to be a really dangerous team going forward, and they are a big favorite to win their division, meaning they'll at least host that first-round playoff game as well. The Buffalo Bills stay on tier 3. Of course, it's a stunner. Allen had the 2 turnovers. James Cook had the fumble. You don't expect that from your leaders. Of course, James Cook in wins this year is averaging 23 fantasy points per game, and losses is 8. I still think, for me personally, if you're going to have as much confidence in Kansas City to still win that division, if you're going to have as much confidence in the Baltimore Ravens to still win their division, and that both of those teams are still elite, then you have to have the same confidence in the Buffalo Bills, because they have done exactly what those teams have done year after year, except, of course, winning Super Bowls, because no one's done that like Kansas City. So I wouldn't punt on them yet, even with the depressing performance against the Miami Dolphins. Fins up for Mike McDaniel. They've had seasons go much worse than this. and still won playoff games. They shouldn't drop after this. If it continues to be a slide, maybe that's a problem going forward. But you have to have, and a power ranking, so much of it is a rich tapestry, meaning you have to go off historical data as much as you have to go off the data that's in front of you right now. You don't, like Chromie said earlier, give up after 1 week. You continue to stick with the team. So for me, Buffalo stays where they're at on the pyramid, even though there are 4 teams below them that kind of are nipping at their butt going forward. If there was any team I might move up, it might be the Ravens, but I want to see one more week of defensive performance against the Cleveland Browns. The New England Patriots, though, have moved up from Tier 4 to Tier 2. All of those competitive resolve things that I talk about.
From Tier
5, I should say.
to
Tier 5 to
3.
3.
Tier
Yeah,
5
so they
to Tier
made
3.
a Tier 2,
Two-tier
jump, but
Yes.
not 2 Tier 2.
Correct.
That is-
Apologies, but still, all of those competitive resolve things that they have, they have them. Defense is leading them. They are the number one against stopping the run, and so they're shutting down the run and making opposing quarterbacks beat them through the air. Drake May is making incredible plays in big moments, and now they have 2 big road wins against Buffalo and Tampa Bay to prove it, and that's why they've moved all the way up to Tier 3. They have another chance to do that against the Baltimore Ravens, and this is a true 8-2 team now, unlike the Denver Broncos, but even more so than the Indianapolis Colts, because the Colts don't have a win like this. They don't have 2 like this. The Colts will get that chance in 2 weeks after the bye against Kansas City, and maybe they can move up to Tier 3. But for now, New England is going to sit here at Tier 3 with another impressive road victory. Also still in Tier 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a bye week and should not move, but they are properly power ranked given the spread this weekend in Denver. The spread is 5.5 in favor of Kansas City, which is really, really surprising, and obviously would not have been the spread a few weeks ago. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and even though they're 5-4 and 2.5 games behind Denver, they are 5.5-point favorites on the road this weekend. That's power rankings for you. Tier 2. The Philadelphia Eagles have questions on their coaching decisions. I have questions about team vibes following another A.J. Brown stinker. I have questions of, will they ever block for Saquon? Ever? I think he was like 22 for 87 yards. It's just so sad to see that as a Saquon owner in fantasy football. But I trust this team way too much to drop them. In key moments, even in that Packers game, they made big plays when they had to. I think of the first drive where they go all the way down the field and Jalen Hurts fumbles. You're converting a 3rd and 10 when Micah Parsons is chasing down Jalen Hurts. He makes an incredible throw to Will Shipley. On another 3rd down, he's able to find a conversion to Dallas Goedert over the middle. He fumbled on a run where he gets peanuts punched, but it's a great defense. Edgerrin Cooper Gig'em is a great player.
I was going to let that slide.
And he let the ball be in harm's way. They still have the tush push, and they cheated the worst they ever have last night.
It was so bad.
Which I'm sad that we didn't mention that in the preview.
I meant to. Harris said it in the chat, and I just forgot to bring it up.
Yeah, I was like, I'll get to it later, and then forgot. Sorry, Harris.
It was literally awful. So they still have that to their advantage, and apparently they can just fully cheat, and it won't matter. And Jalen Hurts picked up like 7 yards on that play. It's just incredulous. That can't happen. All of that. And then at the end, the long 3rd down to Devontae Smith, they're able to complete. When they have some forward momentum and they complete Saquon on the pass and he gets down the field, they capitalize to hit Devontae Smith to the top. When they get to the postseason, I think it'll be the same. It's been that way this year. When Jalen Hurts has had to throw the ball, he's made big plays. I trust this team too much, even though I have genuine questions and honest questions about nearly, every kind of facet of this team for the most part. I have questions, yet they win. So they're going to stay at Tier 2. The Rams, though, have moved up from Tier 3 to Tier 2. They constantly have had a 49er problem. Last year they swept the 49ers, but the 49ers were terrible. Prior to that, they had just one win in 4 years with Sean McVay and Stafford against the 49ers. Of course, they've lost the NFC Championship to the Niners, and to Jimmy Garoppolo in a devastating fashion. They dominated San Francisco on Sunday, just dominated them. Stafford and his two weapons are just so dangerous. They play really good complementary football. Their front seven is one of the best in the league. As long as Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua stay healthy, which is a question, they, I think, are one of the top 3 teams in the league. With Matthew Stafford playing at an MVP level, he should get more talk about that. And the Rams are tier 2. Tier 1, I have 2 questions. How many NFL teams have led their divisional opponent by 35 points in any game?
1.
I don't know the answer to it, but not many.
Okay.
Not many really. You don't beat your divisional opponent by 35 points. You don't hold a lead by 35 points. How many of them have done it with just 8 minutes left in the second quarter?
I'm going to go with 1. I feel pretty great about saying 1 for that.
We're saying this season, right? Ever?
Just ever. Honestly, ever.
It's got to have happened before.
The only game that comes to mind where that could have been, didn't the Dolphins beat, this is not a divisional game, but didn't the Dolphins beat the Broncos like 70-0 or something?
Yes, but not a divisional game.
But
the only one I think of is the Saints game last year, kind of opened the year. They dominated Carolina.
Yeah.
But I don't think they led by 35.
I'll go do some research on that game.
This just doesn't happen. You don't defeat a divisional opponent by this much, especially when there hasn't been a change at head coach for now. This is year 3 for both McDonald and Jonathan Gannon. Again, people are finally coming around and seeing how good this Seattle team is. I'll continue to reiterate week after week, they have 2 losses, both on Sam Darnold plays at the end of the game. Both, I would argue, aren't his fault. Pass rusher, Nick Bosa bulldozes his right tackle. He fumbles the ball on the goal line. And then another one, a good pass rush from Tampa Bay and Vita Vea. He hits his center's helmet, and it's a pick. Those are their only 2 losses. Other than that, they are dominating football teams.
Y'all did not lead by 35 until the 4th quarter.
That's pretty embarrassing for y'all, not going to lie.
Yeah. My bad.
Y'all were up by 30 towards the end of the 2nd quarter.
Okay.
Yep.
That's respectable.
These are that's the pyramid. And before y'all go, before y'all give any words about it, which I would expect there to be none, just look at the teams up here and think of, if you just look at a tier, look at the teams in that tier. Do you not think to yourself they're literally on the same? They should be on the same tier.
The bottom 4.
On any of them,
Oh.
any tier. Go look at the tier and tell me. Oh yeah, I mean the Colts, Bucks, Lions, and Ravens kind of makes sense to all be right next to each other.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, this is my best pyramid I've ever made.
Yeah, I don't really have any major gripes. I really want to drop the Bills because I get it's just 1 week, but that's a pretty inexcusable performance against a really bad team. You didn't just lose; you laid an absolute egg.
Who would you replace them?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I mean, the Lions have been inconsistent. The Ravens are on the up and up, but they started so terribly. The Buccaneers are losing. The Colts lost last week, and it took overtime to beat the Falcons, so you can't really drop them. And then I guess it's fine. I hate the Broncos. I really hate that team because of Bo Nix.
They're 8-2, and they're on a tier with teams that are what?
Well,
Bears are
Bears are 6-3.
6-3.
The Chargers are
7-3.
7-3. The Packers are 5-3, and Houston's 4-5.
They're fine where they are.
Yeah,
but the hater in me, y'all should be. The fact that they're 8-2 disgusts me.
I agree.
But it has nothing to do with your pyramid. Just
Yeah.
seeing their logo, honestly, enrages me a little bit.
So you're wishing you put them on the teams that are 5-4, and I don't know what the 49ers are, but not good. Oh, 6-4. Apologies.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like a 6-4 team, and probably won't finish like that with all the injuries. But, yeah,
Bo Nix is playing like the second worst QB on the pyramid.
Fair.
I would say, yeah, probably ahead of JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. Not ahead of 9. 9's ahead of him. JJ McCarthy's lower though.
Yeah, so it's JJ McCarthy, then Bo Nix, and then
Then
9.
9's at the top.
9's at the
Because when you
top.
lock into that 9, like you can't be beat.
That was
Chromie is saying the Cowboys are too high. That's fair. I wasn't going to move them in a bye week because nothing really changed from last week, obviously, because they didn't play. But I do think with their offense that they are.
I mean, they did trade for Quinnen Williams since the last power ranking.
I really want to see how that goes as well. And I do think if you put them power rating wise against these other teams on their tier, it'd be a pick 'em, and then they'd be underdogs to pretty much anybody above them. Now that doesn't hinder your point of they should be lower. I do think they would be on the same spot as these teams among them. But you're welcome to have that opinion. I don't like moving teams down in a bye unless something resounding really changes.
If their QB got suspended for PEDs, would that be a moving down offense?
Who? Dallas?
Like just if any like would that be a way you could move down on a bye?
Yeah, if something big changed.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah, big change to their roster.
Dak just retires.
Had they traded Micah Parsons now at the trade deadline,
Sure.
then yes, that'd be a big movement.
Imagine.
I think they'd find their way into the graveyard.
Yeah.
All that being said, like Vegas disagrees with me, and Vegas agrees with Chromie. Do you want to guess the spread for Cowboys at Raiders on Monday Night Football next week?
It's got to be the Cowboys. But given that what you said makes me feel
Cowboys
like
3.5.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'll say Cowboys 4.5.
It's 3.5. Cowboys are
Give me
3.5
that.
point favorites against the Raiders on Monday
In
Night
Las
Football.
Vegas?
In Las Vegas,
So
where
it's-
there's going to be more Cowboy fans than Raiders fans.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not. Yeah.
It's diabolical.
Is Geno Smith even gonna play? Like, is he gonna be able to move?
I don't know. I hope so.
They'll just prop him up. Who is the
He,
quarterback?
actually, he doesn't have to move because who's rushing the passer?
True. Quinnen Williams.
Donovan Ezeraku.
I wish. I miss Hazaraku. I wish he popped. Wish he just became Micah Parsons. Wouldn't that have been something?
Well, it's a thing of like, I think he'd be performing a lot better if he got a rush opposite of Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
Is the thing of like Shamar Stewart, who has not looked good. I'm not defending Shamar Stewart. That's not looking like a good draft pick. But he has been double teamed at a crazy high rate this season because Trey Hendrickson's been hurt.
yep.
So the poor guy is a rookie pass rusher, and he's not even that good. But because he's the only even kind of a threat, he's still getting double teamed.